The awareness that is the essence of your existence is always still. It never moves. The mind moves, emotions move, thoughts move, the body moves, but the awareness is always still. So one of the things that I've been mentioning to some of my students recently as a way of kind of keeping yourself focused on reality, on the truth. There is a statement that is a summary statement for the Course in Miracles. Did you ever hear the Course in Miracles? Okay, it's a book, really, and it's a book that is about coming to a clear understanding about the truth, about your true nature and about reality. And in the beginning of the book, there's a summary statement, and and this summary statement is summarizing the entire rest of the Course. And the statement is, what is real cannot be threatened, and what is unreal doesn't exist. Therein lies the peace that passes understanding. What is real cannot be threatened. What is unreal does not exist. Therein lies the peace that passes understanding. So you could take that statement and unpack it, and you would see the whole teaching, right? Because then the question becomes, okay, what is real cannot be threatened. So then the question is, okay, what is real? What is the realest thing you know?
No.
What knows now?
Truth.
The realest thing you know is what allows you to experience everything. The realest thing you know is what you are. The realest thing you know is what allows the universe to exist. And that is awareness itself. Yes? Yeah. If you were not aware, you would not be here. And if you weren't here, nothing else would exist. Right? So awareness is that which is real. And what is real cannot be threatened. Awareness cannot be threatened. Awareness is like the space in this room. No matter what happens in this room, the space is completely unaffected. It doesn't say, if you curse in here, the room doesn't say, don't do that. No matter what you do in here, the space in this room stays exactly the same. It never changes at all. And so it's a good metaphor for the idea of awareness. What is real cannot be threatened. And what is unreal does not exist. Therein lies the peace that passeth understanding. So what is real is awareness or consciousness. What is unreal?
Personality.
Okay.
Who you think you are.
Okay, so what is unreal is this self-concept that we call the personality, right? This self-image that we call the personality. So here's where the trouble starts. Because what is unreal does not exist, except that for almost all of humanity, it takes itself to be that. For almost all of humanity, what is unreal is considered real. And once it's considered real, then the personality comes into existence as a psychological experience, right? Your personality is a psychological experience. So you become a psychological experience, and that psychological experience that you are has been conditioned from the time it came into existence as a baby. It's been conditioned. How has it been conditioned? It's been conditioned to want to be happy, because it's not. It's been conditioned to avoid pain and discomfort, right? And it's been conditioned to seek pleasure and comfort and security and safety. And so the psychological identity that almost all of humanity is a conditioned, psychological, non-existent, non-real identity that people take themselves to be. And because that's the case, the peace, the path, this understanding is not available. Because the golden rule has been broken. What is real cannot be threatened. What is unreal does not exist. But if what is unreal is taken to exist, and you take that to be what you are, then there is no peace. Because this psychological identity is an activity. The psychological activity is a psychological activity in the mind, right? What you are being when you take yourself to be a psychological activity is a mental process, isn't it? It's a mental process. It's constantly changing, thinking, being aware of emotions, thinking about the emotions, feeling the emotions, thinking about the emotions, feeling the emotions. It's a vicious cycle. I have angry thoughts. I have angry emotions. That causes me to think more angry thoughts. I have more angry emotions. That causes me to think angry thoughts. And haven't you noticed when you get angry how you get caught in a loop of angry thoughts? Can't stop thinking about that thing that made you angry? So how do you get out of this? Most people don't. Most people live their entire life trying to use the thought activity to fix things, to change things, to control things. I know what I'll do. I'll think about a solution. I'll think up an answer. If I'm unhappy in my marriage, I'll think about it. And the answer that most people come up with is get rid of the other person. Get a new one. You know, we live in a world where if what you have isn't working, change it, right? Just keep changing it. Right? And so people are caught up in this psychological identity that's never satisfied, never happy, constantly active, never still, never at peace, never at rest, can't get to sleep at night, troubled by everything, troubled by the world, troubled by the politics, troubled by the body, troubled by the emotions, troubled by what I don't have, troubled by what I want. And we're conditioned to believe that happiness can be found in the world. And if happiness can be found in the world, then I have to pursue it. And that's what everybody's doing. And what is this happiness that can be found in the world? The happiness that can be found in the world is to get what I don't have that I think will make me happy. And if I get what I don't have that I think it'll make if I get what I don't have that I think will make me happy, I'll be happy. And so we keep pursuing what we think will make us happy. And one of the things that we have in common amongst ourselves in this pursuit of happiness is money, isn't it? What's the lottery up to? 750 million? Almost
Over 900 million.
Over 900 million now? Yeah. So see, as soon as you hear that, right, the personality says, oh boy, if I had that money, what could I do, right? I could look at that Maserati and not just look at it, but call somebody up and say, deliver that to me. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing about it is if you look at people that have that kind of money, I mean, and when I say if you look at them, if you actually pay attention to them, look at their face, listen to them talk, and ask yourself, are they expressing being happy and peaceful? What the evidence suggests is the more people get, the more they want. The more people get, the more afraid they are of losing that. And one of the ways you can make yourself feel secure about not losing that is to get more. Just keep getting more. And one of the reasons you want to keep getting more is because it hasn't worked yet. I may be a billionaire, I'm not happy yet. But I have a suspicion that if I could get 3 billion like Elon Musk, maybe I could be happy then. But if you look at Elon, he's on drugs. He is. Yeah, he carries drugs with him all the time to stay high. Right? And he's got more money than anybody else on the planet. So what's the evidence suggest? The evidence suggests that he's living in an ignorant state. Meaning that, see, he has given his whole energy of his life to the pursuit of happiness, right? And that whole life in the pursuit of happiness is the pursuit of money. It hasn't worked yet, but he's not going to give up because everything's on the line. He's given everything to this process, right? And if you were to talk to him about why hasn't it worked yet, you know, he can tell you, he can explain it to you. You know, why it hasn't worked yet. Maybe it's because he got thrown out of the White House. I'm sure he's got a good story about it all, right? Everybody that fails in life has a good story. Winners don't need it. You ever notice that? Yeah. If you win something, you don't need a story, you won. If you lose, right, then you have a story about having lost. Personality will never give up. Wow. Personality can't give up because it's not alive. The personality is a program, and it'll keep running no matter what. So if you go to a retreat, what you get to do is sit and experience yourself as the awareness of the never-ending activity of the mind. Sit with the never-ending activity of the mind. And if you just sit with it instead of identifying with it, you see, if you identify with it, if you go to a retreat and you identify with the voice in your head, on the first day it'll say, holy shit, what did you do? You're going to have to sit here and listen to me for half an hour at a time, 10 times a day for 7 days. Good luck, buddy. That's what it'll say. And if you don't identify with that, see, if you identify with that, right, you won't be there for the next day. I've seen it happen. If you identify with that, it's telling you, get out of here as soon as possible. If you don't identify with that, and you understand that you are not the mind, you are not the voice in your head, and you just look at it, you just watch it say that, and you just stay in stillness, after the first few days, it starts to lose its ability to capture your attention anymore. And by the fourth day, it gets a lot quieter. It may become seductive. And say, boy, don't you miss your ordinary life? Can't you wait to get back to it? Or it might pull out the big guns and say, oh, I think I'll cause you to have a migraine. See if you can keep paying attention. Yeah. See if you can keep being aware the way you've been being aware if you're having a migraine. And then the voice will say, oh, the migraine's being caused by this retreat. If you don't want to keep suffering, you better leave. You see, so the answer then becomes, how do I get out of this? Right? If I take myself to be something that I'm not, if that which is real can not be threatened, which is awareness itself, and if I take myself to be that which is unreal, which doesn't exist, but I do take myself to be that because I have identified myself with my thought activity all my life. I mean, they actually make it a sacred thing to think, don't they? When you start school, they teach you, use thinking, think about the problems, use the thought process, think things through, use reasonableness, be rational, process everything, don't just act compulsively, think about things before you act. A lot of the worst behavior of human beings is a product of thinking about things before they act. You can't teach this. That's bogus. That's inauthentic. You know? to teach somebody to act as if they're who they are instead of experience it isn't going to work. It will break down. As hard as you may try to be a good person, right? As soon as somebody puts some heat on you, that'll go out the window. Because as soon as somebody or some circumstance puts some pressure on you, you go into survival mode. You start to feel threatened. And when you start to feel threatened, what do? You fight or you run. And you don't have any choice about that. That is conditioned into your brain. You fight or you run. Even when there is no real threat, you'll fight or you'll run because you will imagine that there is a real threat. When you take yourself to be what you're not, everything is a threat, because when you take yourself to be what you're not, you are separate from everything else, right? Therefore, anything can happen at any time that could get you, could kill you, right? So you could be sitting in this room right now. Nothing is obviously going on, right? But if you take yourself to be a separate self, even if there's nothing going on, right? There is a low-level concern that I better be careful, I better pay attention here, because this ceiling might fall on me at any time. You don't necessarily think those thoughts, right? But it's a low-level concern. Oh, I have to watch out. Watch out. You know, once you step out of your house, you could be subject to weather, crazy people, cars out of control. All kinds of shit could happen. Better not go out. That's how it feels sometimes when you're at home, right? Oh, I have to go out. I have to go out again. That's a threat in and of itself. But then I have to deal with people. Oh my God, that's a bigger threat. So this is the condition that people are living their lives in. That's why they need medication. I need to tranquilize myself so I can be happy. I want tranquility, but I can't experience tranquility, so I'll just tranquilize my nervous system. So it is in a state of numbness. Then I can deal with life. So, any other questions? So the way out, the solution to the problem, right, is to practice being consistently aware of the situation, which is that I take myself to be something that I am not, and when I take myself to be something that I am not, that occurs in my mind by me identifying with my thought activities and my emotions. And when I identify with my thoughts and my emotions, that determines what I say and what I do. And when I identify with my thoughts and my emotions, and it determines what I say and what I do, I will be speaking from a position of insecurity. I will be speaking from a position of being threatened. I will be speaking from a position of irritability. I'll be speaking from a position of detriment. When you take yourself to be something that you're not, you're in a position that could be called detriment. You're a detriment to yourself and you're a detriment to society. Why? Because you're looking for trouble. You're a detriment to yourself and you're a detriment to society. If you walk around in society in that identity, that's a detriment. If you walk around in society in that identity, that's a detriment, and in that identity that feels threatened at all times, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. All it takes is somebody driving too slow in front of you. All it takes is somebody that gets in front of you in line. All it takes is somebody that says something that your system and your brain interprets to be derogatory to you. You talking to me? Right? What do you mean by that? You looking at me? That's what it's like to live a life, you know, of being a petty, small-minded, scared human being. And that's what's going on all around us. We're afraid of each other. We're afraid of time. We're afraid of life. We're afraid of our bodies. We're afraid of death. Did I miss anything? It's interesting because when you succeed in experiencing that which is real as a consistent experience, you can never be threatened. But the only way you can experience that which is real that can never be threatened, right, is to get clear that you are in a condition in which you take yourself to be something that you're not. That's the violation of the second rule. What is real cannot be threatened. What is unreal doesn't exist, but for most people it does. Not only does it exist, but it's who they take themselves to be. It's who they are. Therefore, the peace that passeth this understanding is not available. And so you're seeking peace all the time. You lay your head down at night to go to sleep, and the thought process doesn't care about whether you sleep. So you take some medication. So, one of the things that can get you in the path to realizing the solution is to practice being still. That's what meditation is. Practice being still. Practice being that which doesn't move. Practice being that which is never agitated. Practice being that which is always at peace, because it's real, and what is real cannot be threatened. And that's what this class is all about, the practice of being still. Be still and know that I am God. For some people that's challenging because God is such a loaded word, you know. How dare I think that I am God? That's blasphemy. So maybe that word would be, maybe a better word would be still and know that I am awareness. Well, yeah, it's still true. Fear does keep you alive, right? When there's a real threat to you. But if you're behaving as if there's a real threat to you all the time, that's called neurotic. That's called neurosis. And if you look up the definition of neurosis, it's a mild mental disturbance that's going on all the time.